Well, it's happening again, the coaching cycle in the NFL doing what it does. Mike Fisher reporting from Frisco, home of the Dallas Cowboys, the star, right over there. And two Cowboys assistants now in the news. And it's fascinating stuff if you follow along and follow the breadcrumbs that we've laid out for you now over the course of the last couple weeks. George Edwards is an outstanding football coach. Everybody inside this building swears by George Edwards. They are so happy to have him here. And now he might leave. The Cowboys, of course, chose Dan Quinn to be the defensive coordinator. There's nothing wrong with that. The coach, Mike McCarthy, went outside his Venn diagram circle and picked somebody who's highly credentialed as a defensive coordinator. The Cowboys interviewed but did not choose George Edwards, and that's fine too. Part of their thinking was, could we retain George in some other capacity? Could you keep him as senior assistant, special assistant? Could you ask him to be the linebackers coach? Something. And why is he important? Why was that the thinking? By the way, McCarthy interviewed him, and the Jones family also talked to George Edwards about staying. It's important because as one source who works with these people inside the building every day says, George Edwards is the best teacher in the building, the best defensive coach in the building, the toughest, smartest teacher in the building. But now the Chicago Bears are attracted to the same. The Bears are interested in interviewing George Edwards to be their defensive coordinator. There's other candidates too, including the Colts defensive backfield coach. One of the attractions to George, I'm told, by the Bears, besides the fact that he's a tough, smart teacher, because he was the coordinator, defensive coordinator with the Vikings, he knows and understands the NFC North, knows those teams, knows those cities. Now, a little time has passed. The cities haven't changed. Maybe the teams have changed a little bit. But George Edwards as your defensive coordinator, that could be a win for Chicago, and that would be a loss for Dallas if they lose him rather than retain him in some capacity. Meanwhile, another very bright assistant coach who's only been here for 1 year, like George Edwards, Bones Fassel. His name is up and running. A source told me about the George Edwards idea in Chicago, and another source confirms, the Eagles sniffing around Cowboys special teams coordinator Bones Fassel. Why? The upside to Fassel is clear. He is as creative a coach as there is in football. He's 47, paid some dues. He's the son of the former NFL head coach. So he grew up around it, lived it. It's all good. He's been an interim head coach with the Rams. Didn't go great, but that counts as his resume experience, just like it does with Dan Campbell, who we've talked about here before. By the way, thank you for watching our videos. Thank you for being part of the gang. We are putting together a merchandise store, and Law Nation is helping us. Like everything else I do here, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just here for my looks. But we are putting together a merchandise store, and so many of you have said, "Man, I'd like that on a T-shirt. I'd like that pullover, whatever they're called, hoodie. I'll take a coffee mug, fish." So we're working on it. Hopefully in the next couple of days, if I can figure out the right button. Also, I'm going to try to make them as affordable as the system will let me. If we sell 1 billion T-shirts, I promise you, I'll spend some of the money on a party at the Maverick Bar. Safe. We'll party safely, of course. Bones Fassel has credentials. I'm not arguing against that. But isn't it interesting? No other team called. The coaching carousel's been spinning for 3 weeks now, and nothing against Bones. Why didn't all the other teams call him? 8 openings or whatever, right? Why didn't they call him? Is Philadelphia desperate? Kellen Moore's still in their mix. Josh McDaniels certainly still in their mix. And Eric Bieniemy can be in their mix if he wants him to be. And Eric Reed would give him Andy Reid would give him a recommendation there. By the way, Brian Daboll pulls this, said, I'm going to stay with the Bills. because Brian Daboll, the Bills offensive coordinator, who's represented by Bob Lamont, who represents Howie Roseman, who's the general manager, he knows who they're going to hire. That's why Brian Daboll pulled his name out. So they've got a plan. And I think Josh McDaniels is probably the most logical name. But cast a wide net. That's fine. And that's the conventional reason that the conventional media, no offense, conventional media, that's what they're saying. Oh, it's just the Eagles casting a wide net. They're just double checking. They're just looking at everybody. Maybe it's that. Maybe it's about the very legitimate credentials that Bones Fassel has. By the way, let's give him credit for this. This was in 2019 the worst special teams that I've ever seen in 40 years of covering the NFL. They were dumb. They were lost. They were bad teachers. They were bad students. They didn't understand, and I mean collectively, under Jason Garrett, didn't understand you don't have to yell instructions to Tavon Austin about how to return a punt. Just get out of his way. That's the one, and there was a bunch of them, obviously, if you recall, from 2019. The one that stuck in my craw as a Cowboy watcher. The overcoaching, undercoaching of thinking that, remember the late season game, a key situation, and they're miscommunicating to Tavon Austin what they want him to do. And the guys that were in charge of communicating / miscommunicating know less about special teams than Tavon Austin does. And it screwed the Cowboys. So the change is made. That special teams coach, by the way, last time I checked, is still with the organization. They just shuffled him over to scouting. Okay, and I hope he's over there kicking butt. Then they hire Bones Fassel as recognized and credentialed a coordinator as you can get in this NFL. Creative, aggressive, fun. And according to Rick Gosselin's rankings, the Cowboys jumped from number 31 in the NFL on special teams in overall rankings to number 11. That's a credential. So there's some merit to wanting to interview Bones Fassel. There's something about the wide net that works. See, this isn't like George Edwards. That's no wide net in Chicago. They're going, we like him, and him. And he's coaching defensive backs in Indianapolis, and they're doing a heck of a job. We want him. We like him. George Edwards. He's got a big fat resume. We want to talk to him. And then I'm sure there's other candidates too. But I bet you there's not 15 of them. I haven't looked, but I bet you there's not 15 of them. In Philadelphia, it seems like there's 15 million head coaching candidates. Does that mean they don't know what they want? Oh, no. Quite contrary to that. Or as we say in France, au contraire. They know what they want. They probably already know who the coach is going to be. So besides, good credentials on Bones. And besides, wide net. Let's check on. Who's his agent? Bob Lamont. As I said to you last night in our video, go find it on how a Cowboys fan gets a job. If you're not represented by CAA, if you're not represented by Bob Lamont, or if you're not super friendly in the media. And by the way, Bones Fassel is two of those three things. Bob Lamont's his agent. Doesn't mean he doesn't deserve an interview. Doesn't mean it's not casting a wide net. Doesn't mean it's not an insult. Not insulting anybody who's a Bob Lamont client. In fact, quite the opposite. I mean, I'm like, you're smart, man. I went on WIP in Philadelphia the other day and said it. Bob Lamont, if you're listening, I'm not insulting you. I want to hire you. I need an agent. I might as well hire the most powerful agent in football, who is picking the people who are running the Chargers. Bob Lamont is picking the people who are running the Texans. And he represents Howie Roseman, the GM in Philadelphia. Howie Roseman and Bob Lamont, the agent, are working together to pick the head coach. Or, in the case of Bones, working together to say, hey, I want to raise my profile of Bones. Give him an interview, will you? Now, that part's just an educated guess, but follow the breadcrumbs here. Nobody thinks Bones Fassel. Nobody in the NFL thinks Bones Fassel should be an NFL head coach. except for one person, his agent, who wants him interviewed. So his name can be in the cycle, so his name can be in the headlines, and then maybe next year he'll be a more legitimate candidate. It's brilliant. It's kind of devious. And I'm not insulting it. I'm just observing it. And I'm not insulting Bones. Bones, you're smart. You got one of the three. You got two of the three ways to move up in the NFL world. You got the right agent and you're media friendly. It's awesome. I hope the Cowboys don't lose Bones' Fassel. I think he's very good at what he does. I hope they don't lose George Edwards. I think he can be great at what he does. One thing that's funny, we don't think the Cowboys coaching staff did a very good job last year, do we? Yet everybody wants to interview him. Fish out.